What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Juicy Jet Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Rooney, and can you believe it? One day after our first emergency podcast for Garrett Wilson, we have another emergency podcast because Sauce Gardner has been extended as well. What a wild 2 days in Jetsland. Probably one of the better 2 days in Jetsland in a very long time. I think for me, maybe since we signed Aaron Rodgers, where everyone was so excited and so hyped, or maybe that when we were walking into the stadium for that first game with Aaron, that might have been the last really exciting day that we've had in Jetsland until now. Now, of course, it's the off season. It matters if you win games. Of course, all of you non-Jets fans on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram are going to tell me that, but I'm going to have fun today because this is a great day for us. And the reason is we've now locked down two of our young studs, two of the young core pieces of what could be the future of Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji's regime. So really exciting day. So what we're going to do is the same thing as yesterday. We're going to go into the deal, talk a little bit about the numbers and what he signed for. We'll talk a little bit about Sauce, whether he deserved this deal or not, and then talk a little bit about Darren Muji, Aaron Glenn, and then probably the whole group together, to be totally honest with you. So no gym break, no trivia question, none of that stuff today. We'll get to it on a future episode. And I think we're actually only a few days away from training camp, which is crazy. So let's talk about the order. Let's talk about the deal. So Sauce Gardner signs a 4-year, $120.4 million extension, which makes him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history. And by average deal size per year, he beats out Derek Stingley by $100,000. I think it was $100,000. Yeah, $100,000 a year. So he's officially the highest paid corner. I am truly shocked by this deal. Yes, he's the highest paid, but I thought he was going to really try to push to change the entire corner market because that's what he's been tweeting about over the past couple months. So I couldn't believe that he only went just a tad above Derek Stingley. So I think although he's the highest paid corner, it's crazy to say this, but I feel like it's team friendly. Because now you have Sauce locked up just like Garrett, where it was an extension. So it was added on to the 2 years we already have with him left. So he's going to be on the team potentially till 2030. Now, of course, both of these guys could hold out for a future deal. They could leave the team at any time when they go for their next contract. But for now, they are under contract till 2030. So they're here for the long haul, which is really, really exciting. I couldn't really believe it. I thought it was going to be $35 million. I thought he would for sure get paid more than Garrett. But this worked out really well for the Jets. So now you've got both guys, Sauce at 31 and 31.1 per year. And then you got Garrett at 32.5 per year. So two cornerstone pieces at two extremely valuable positions. You cannot win without a wide receiver one or a pass catcher one. The Chiefs of Travis Kelce, for example. And you can't really win without a good corner, a good left tackle, and a good pass rusher. And right now, when you look at the Jets, and then of course a quarterback. Right now, when you look at the Jets, you say, okay, we've got Sauce Gardner locked up, cornerback one, potentially the best cornerback in football. You've got Garrett Wilson, a wide receiver one, a top 10 wide receiver in football, potentially. You've got Olu Fashanu, a left tackle who is a good, young, solid starter. We'll see how he does in year 2. And then you got Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson as two pretty good pass rushers. So you're starting to see it all piece together a little bit, which is really exciting to see. So hate to say it, but props to Joe Douglas on getting these two guys and drafting them because, people could say, oh, they could have closed their eyes and drafted Sauce Gardner and Garrett Wilson. But in reality, it's not that easy. So amazing that we have two really stud players like this. Now to talk about Sauce, 2-time All-Pro in his first 2 years. He's one of the first cornerbacks to ever do that. I think Ronnie Lott was the other one. And then in year 3, came off a year where, he didn't tackle very well last year. He got called for a good amount of holding penalties. But that all really happened early on in the year, and then he became the lockdown corner that we're used to. I think the only problem with Sauce Gardner, which is a very similar problem that Garrett had, where Garrett, he needs to score more touchdowns. Sauce Gardner needs to take the ball away more. I think he only has 4 interceptions in his career. One of them was a a joke interception against Jacksonville where no one was around him. I think it was like a throwaway. So I think that's the one thing that he needs to work on. And if I'm Aaron Glenn working with Sauce, he must be so excited to work with Sauce Gardner because Sauce has all the physical traits that Aaron Glenn didn't really have. Aaron Glenn was short, and Sauce is really long. He's got long arms. Glenn was quick. So is Sauce. Sauce is quick and fast. So I think Sauce is a physical specimen that I bet Aaron Glenn can't wait to get his hands on, get more physical with him, and really show him how to be the top cornerback in football. So I'm really excited to see what that's going to look like. And I feel like he is going to take the ball away more just because our defense is going to be much more aggressive. So, for every Jet fan out there who is like super pumped about Garrett and then like maybe not as pumped about Sauce, I think you got to look at, is he a high quality, top of the line corner? And the answer is yes. His coverage rate, all that stuff is through. He's like number one in almost every category if you look over the past 3 years. The only thing that he's not number one in is takeaways. I think the next thing that you got to look at when we talk about this deal is the Jets side of it. So $30 million tied up in 2 players is a lot of money. But the cap goes up every year. It's $30 million 2 years from now. So they're going to be the 6th, 7th, 8th. Garrett Wilson might be a bottom 10. He might be outside the top 10 of highest paid wide receivers come next year. Because that's how many people need to get paid. And that's how quickly these things move. And then same thing with Sauce. 5 years. There's probably 5 more guys that are going to get paid in the next 2-3 years before that extension actually comes into play. So really interesting to see what this is going to look like. And I think it's a really good deal for the Jets. I'm really excited about it. Now, from the Jet perspective, too, you got to really look at both Muji and Glenn here. Let's look at like the holistic perspective of where this all came from. So they've been here, what is it? It's July. They've been here maybe 6-7 months. They've had so much go on in that 6-7 months. It's been wrapping up 2024. It's free agency, the draft. We have to scout everybody. They had to hire a whole new staff. And now they had to go through mini camp and all that kind of stuff. And they're about to get ready for training camp. And they signed 2 of their best players right before training camp started. I know that we don't look like the best roster on paper right now. And I know we're probably going to be somewhere between a 7 and a 8, 9, maybe hopefully win team. And we're not stuck being a 3-4 win team like we've been in the past. But you got to give them major props. The 2 of them walked in the door, kicked Hall of Fame quarterback Aaron Rodgers out the door, got Garrett Wilson, who was upset about Aaron Rodgers, to flip the script and want to stay here and be a Jet for life, kicked Davante Adams out the door. I wanted Davante Adams back, but, makes sense. Clean slate with that group to give Garrett as many opportunities as possible. He got the team much younger. Then both of them have a really solid first couple rounds of the draft with Membu. You got Mason Taylor, who we still have to sign. And then, Azareye'h Thomas. You got a few other guys that you're excited about. Free agency, we get a lot younger, which we're excited. You got Andre Sisco. They got a quarterback, probably the only quarterback out there that was like a realistic possibility with the potential to be good, or else you were going to get stuck with like a Daniel Jones or someone like that. And here we are now with signing Sauce Gardner during this emergency press conference or emergency podcast, which will then lead to a press conference with the 2 of them in the next couple of days, which is going to be so exciting for Jets Nation. So I got to give him props. Although I'm not sure how Muji is going to turn out. You got to give him props for how he's handled the past couple months. And I don't know if that starts with Glenn. It feels like we're a head coach run organization, so it probably does. So you got to give Glenn props. And then finally, the person that no one wants to give props to, it seems like Woody Johnson kind of stayed out of it. He hired his 2 guys and moved out of the way and forked over the money. So I think you got to give Woody some props too here. So I think overall, you could just tell that this entire organization is operating at a whole different level than where we were in the past, and it's only month 6 or month 7. What's it going to look like in year 2, year 3? And hopefully, Glenn and Muji are still here when it's 2030 and we have Sauce and Garrett still. So this is just a really exciting 2 days. I think for me now, we've got our two studs locked up. The last thing Muji and Glenn have to do, get Mason Taylor signed and in the door, and then training camp will be underway. We will talk about this whole second round pick fiasco in a future podcast, but big day. Big day for Jets Nation. You got to be excited. Once again, if you need a jersey, it's Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. They're not going anywhere for at least the next 4 years is my guess. Hopefully the next 6. So I think that's it for me. I think you guys get the gist of how pumped I am and how big of a day this is. And yeah, hopefully this starts that new culture of, hey, we're going to re-sign young guys. You're not going to want to leave. We don't have to have this whole thing where we watch some of our best players walk out the door, demand trades, all that kind of stuff. And we can actually start to become a real organization that people want to come to. So hopefully this opens people's eyes to, hey, they're going to re-sign Will McDonald in a few years, Jermaine Johnson. They're going to re-sign Olu Fashanu, Armand Membu in a few years. And now we become that organization like the Philadelphia Eagles that are signing people early rather than late, saving money, not spending at the last second or overspending in free agency because we have no choice and we have no good players left. So I'm very excited. I'm very encouraged. Now it comes to football. It really all comes down to, can we win games now? These guys haven't won before with the New York Jets. So hopefully Aaron Glenn can turn this all around and lead us to the promised land. So thank you everybody for listening. We're posting content all over the place on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, JuicyJet25. Please smash up the likes on this, subscribe, rate, review, all the good things that'll help me out. And I really appreciate it. And now our next steps are going to be, let's do a podcast and talk about training camp. So we can talk about football from here on out and kind of go from there. So looking forward to chatting with everybody about my 53-man roster predictions over the next couple days. Maybe I'll do that on Monday. I want to do it before practice starts so that I can get my predictions down and get them right. And then we'll kind of go from there. So thank you all for listening. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon, Jets Nation. Bye-bye.